नमस्कार सलाम, कैसे हैं आप सब। मेरा नाम है रोहित और आप देख रहे हैं सार स्क्वायर स्टूडियोज़। आज के वर्ल्ड वाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन के इस एपिसोड में हम आपको ले चलेंगे या हम बात करेंगे एक ऐसी कंट्री के बारे में जहां पर पूरी दुनिया में सबसे ज़्यादा टूरिस्ट जाते हैं। जी हाँ, मैं बात कर रहा हूं सदर्न वेस्टर्न यूरोप की एक ब्यूटीफुल कंट्री जिसका नाम है पोर्तुगल। One of the most visited countries, full of beautiful landscapes and flower gardens. One of the oldest country of Europe and one of the longest running empire in history. A place where 50% of the world coke production is done, which is used by the famous companies like Airbus, Rolls-Royce, and of course NASA. Largest artificial underwater park, a place where before the internet was used, lot of transitions, about 50 transitions were done on ATM. This is a country where innovation happens. In 2018, Portugal was announced as number 13 in the most innovative countries. Oldest bookshop in the world is in the capital. Third most beautiful bookshop in the world is in Portugal. और आज हमारे साथ हैं हमारे मेहमान, मेरे फॉर्मर कलीग और मेरे बहुत अच्छे दोस्त जो पोर्तुगल को बिलोंग करते हैं। हम उनसे बात करेंगे उनकी कंट्री के बारे में।
Hello everyone. So I have my former colleague and my now a very good friend, Rick. Rick, I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Namaste.
Namaste, Rick. Namaste.
Olá, as you say in Portuguese. My name is Ricardo, also known as Rick, and I am a Portuguese citizen. I live in Poland for a long time, but it's within the European Union, so it's internal migration, let's say. And actually, yes, we met for 1.5 years, and then we went separate ways, but still in contact.
Great. So, Rick, what do you do for your living? Who all are there in your family?
Well, I'm currently asking in IT, in the internal desk of a corporation here in the city of Łódź.
Right.
And well, I'm still there already for 2.5 years, more or less.
Okay. Right. So, Rick, how do you feel being a citizen of your country, Portugal?
Well, we are, as everyone has always a patriotic side, more or less. In my case, I can say I'm proud of the history of my country. There was obviously in countries who had colonial empires always a shadow of the past, but we have to put the things into the context of 500 years ago. and it's a very historical in the meaning of Western culture. Obviously, not as we know, as ancient culture as many Asian countries, including India, but still, we can go around 1500 and more, 3000 in the case of Romans, and we have really a lot still of culture from those countries. Actually, what is nowadays Italy. Hence, Portuguese is a Romance language, still looking very much like Latin in many aspects.
So, what are the best places to visit if somebody visits to Portugal?
Well, we have a very interesting country. From the north of the country is more Atlantic. It's similar more to the northern part of Europe, as it is more with hills, more with mountains. It's the opposite one. The more you go south, you start seeing a country that is more the colors change when the vegetation starts being more dry, but at the same time very interesting, very beautiful. And then in the south we have the Algarve, which is a favorite of Britons for a long time, and is a very touristic place. The water is warmer as it is actually closer to Northern Africa, right? Still, and this is a very common misconception, we are not a country that is like Mediterranean. No, it's Atlantic.
Atlantic, yeah.
And all mixed is because Spanish have mostly
Because the border is with Spain.
yes, actually they have the inner sea. Well, and as I was saying, there is a difference in that meaning, as Spain is a country with more access to inner sea, the Mediterranean Sea, while Portugal, basically, most part of it is the Atlantic. The Atlantic belongs more to Portugal than actually to Spain. Spain, they have in the north of Spain and a little bit in the south. And this is quite a substantial difference in these cultures.
Right. So, Rick, coming to the current timing, this pandemic timing, right? So, how did the government behaved, and what is the reaction of the government, and how are they handling this current pandemic of COVID-19?
Well, this is, in my opinion, as it is was expected in such a touristic countries like Portugal. There was in the beginning, like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, the beginning, quite a lot of restrictions, and similar in certain points, like also happened in India, where people didn't gather and you have to be basically locked inside of home. I'm still working from home currently, but during summer, which is the touristic peak in these countries like Portugal, there was a relaxation in the general ruling. So people were more, let's say, gathering and less concerned what could be the pandemic. And obviously, as in many other countries, there was again a spike. And the restrictions are coming again. People are actually very conscious about using the masks. Yeah, which is a very positive point. And there is a kind of almost a social, how to say, disagreement. If somebody doesn't use a mask, it is not really very well seen by the general population.
So, Rick, what are, I mean, is there any rules or regulations which are there, especially in Portugal, apart from any other country in the world? Any kind of rules and regulations?
Well, that I need to think a little bit about this. As a country, as Portugal is a country mostly of Christian faith, Catholic, there is not, regarding religious aspects, more restrictions as in another religions we have. Though it's a quite, let's say, liberal country, in very much as the trend of the most part of Western countries nowadays. But restriction and laws mostly eventually social accepted behaviors that are very typical. I'm trying now to remember something that a foreigner could do that would offend eventually a Portuguese person, and the first that occurs to me is someone speaking in Spanish with you.
All right.
Which is one of the most common. They believe that we are Spanish and they start saying "Hola, cómo estás," and it's like a little bit go.
Okay. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So Rick, two things which you love about your country, best two things which you love about your country.
This will actually, as a whole, is the gastronomy. Obviously, it's very good. As once we were commenting, there is a lot of influence also from India with the spices, as it was the spices trade was one of the most important during the phase of Portuguese Empire.
Of course.
The gastronomy is very, very good, very recommended. Fish, very good fish. Codfish, which is known as bacalhau. It's the most known dishes, and they say there is 1001 ways of preparing it.
Great.
If you scroll over Google, I grant you many hours of searching. You will see. But I do recommend most definitely Portuguese gastronomy. And obviously, together with this, for those who like the wines, wines in Portugal are very ancient, very, very ancient tradition. They were brought mostly by Romans. And there is particularities of soil and the grapes and different regions. I don't know how many now, but more than definitely 10 wine regions in the country. And the weather that generally is pleasant, is very pleasant most part of the year.
So now two things which you don't like about your country. It might be hard for you, but two things which...
Absolutely. It's not very hard, right? I do believe nothing is perfect, and we have to accept things as they are. In the case of Portugal, and is one of the things I do believe still is not a very pleasant, is the taxation, heavy taxation in a country that belongs to the Eurozone for many, many years, actually around 20, I think it will be soon. And it's not adjusted. The salaries and the way of the amount of money that generated by a family to adjust to the Eurozone. So taxation and the Eurozone is a no-go for many people nowadays to return. But okay, it's not, let's say, impossible. It's just as the country is nowadays being ruled, I guess.
And another
thing. It's like suddenly try to remember about this, and especially in my case that I live in Poland for many years, I could say that Portuguese drive very fast, but when you compare to Poland, and because you
I know about your driving. You are a very a good driver, exactly. I can say, yeah.
And they are quite let's say we drive in speed also, and is one of the things that actually could be better prevented. Moreover, it's a country that the rate of alcohol in the blood is not that low. You can drive already with a certain amount of alcohol, and this should be, anyways, something I think they should reduce. But again, and this is an interesting point, eventually somebody maybe can disagree with me. Portuguese people will see this video. I do believe the wine lobbies are very strong, and still there is traditions as having a little glass of wine in because we have 3 meals. It's another point interesting to talk, since we are talking about this. We started with the break. Then around noon or 1 p.m. there is what we call almoço, that is a kind of in-between dinner and finally dinner at quite sometimes late at night, 7, 6, 7, 8, depends on people's schedule. But there is institutionalized even 1 hour break in most cases. People go really to have the lunch. And as also in France, you can have a glass of wine because it is part of the tradition. And I guess this is one of the reasons. As you know, in comparison, most part of countries from Central and Eastern Europe, they have restrictions of zero tolerance for driving with alcohol.
Yes,
Though it's
yes, of
not
course.
still, yeah, it's not still the worst country in the European Union regarding car accidents, but not the perfect one too.
So now, Rick, what about India? What do you think about India?
Yes. Well, first of all, I worked for an Indian company for a certain time, so I am quite. I can say that I worked for Indians for a certain period of my life. Regarding India, as I was once discussing with you, we talked about this once. It was mostly the ideas that pass nowadays. IT technicians of IT, the technology, and I do believe that we are reaching a point where India will very, very much start going shoulder with shoulder by shoulder with China in the meaning of technology and evolving. There is a huge population. Indians have very good technicians and IT knowledge. And a thing that also it's known, it's about mathematics. I really don't know what you Indians have that you are so good generally in mathematics. It's absolutely amazing. Most part of Indians are really good in maths. This is a very good for the culture of a country.
They are actually,
No
they are.
technology. When you are going to buy a new mobile phone and
Oh,
you go for YouTube for a review, most part of times you find reviews from India.
India, yeah, yeah,
They are ultra enthusiastic with technology,
yeah,
and it's one of the countries which they are avidly consuming technology,
yeah.
and it's nowadays. Of course, then we have the most known Bollywood films that
Hmm.
everyone knows and finds funny for the way they dance. Sometimes some special effects over exaggerated. There are even videos of Indian people talking about this. The guy that
Yes,
jumps after Boeing 747 or something like this, you know.
yes, 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 yes.
And this is one of let's say the the ideas of India for
Hmm.
this the film production, which is very and actually there are a lot of known actors even in Hollywood
Yeah,
from India.
yeah.
Um, then of course the Indian food. There are more and more in Europe Indian food, particularly. I know, Roy, that when you go to one of the restaurants here in Woods, you don't think it's that good.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not like that. But yes, because I'm a vegetarian, so I cannot, eat that kind of the variety of the food. But yes, I have enjoyed the different kind of food in Europe. Of course, in Poland or
I know.
maybe in other countries.
Just for you to know, when I go to an Indian restaurant, I don't eat meat too. I eat vegetarian food, so
Mhm.
it's fine, and
Yeah,
it's really good, absolutely good.
right, Rick. Great, great talking to you, Rick. What is any messages for our viewers?
Well, if you want to visit the Iberian Peninsula, you can start by visiting Portugal. There is there is. We are one of the most mixed countries from the European Union. Since there is Indian culture there, there is African, Brazilian, and definitely for gastronomy, wine tasting, and very, very nice and warm people, because it's one of the characteristics of Portuguese. We really are very welcoming tourists, pleasant people.
Right. Thanks, Rick. Thanks a lot, Rick. It was great talking to you, and
No problem.
hope to see you. First of all, thank you for being featured on my channel, and hope to see you again on some other time on my video on
Yes,
my channel.
we have to talk about this of driving abroad. There is a lot of things I would like to share with you. But,
Great, great, great.
I drove a lot around Europe and it's quite curious in this way.
Right,
We
right,
have
right,
to plan it.
right.
Okay?
Thanks, Rick. Thanks a lot, and we'll be in touch.
You.
Bye bye.
Obrigado.
Bye.
Bye bye. Cheers.
So guys, this was about Portugal. I hope you liked the video and the information which we have provided to you in our segment called Worldwide Information. Keep watching, keep sharing, keep liking, and do comment on the video subscribe our channel. Thank you and see you soon. Bye bye for now.